In 2014, Google developers created a little Easter egg they thought few would notice. This ended up becoming the massive Dino game. I reached out and one of the original Dino game designers, Jung, was kind enough to reply and talk about how they made the game and the huge hype it has received. We'll get answers to questions like, why would a T-Rex die from touching a cactus? Why was the Dino game even created? And does it have an ending? A decade ago, before the massive hype, before people trying to beat the game and figure out its ending, back in 2014, they had to make the game. My first question to Jung was, how did you come up with it? Why does the offline page show you a game out of all things? He said, we had a number of ideas for an Easter egg on the offline page, but the Endless Runner was the one the team liked best. Now, what I find interesting is that he said Easter egg. That sounds a lot like they just wanted to put in a little secret. So I asked him if back then they expected the huge popularity it has received. Definitely not. We didn't even think that many people would find it for a long time and it would be a secret for us Chrome folks. Of course, developing in open source made that hard and it was discovered pretty quickly. The game was developed for Chromium, which is like Google Chrome, but everyone can see the code. This made it hard to keep the whole thing a secret, because even if they didn't know how to find a game, they could see that the code was changing. This is the code log from the 23rd of September 2014, where you can see Jung updating the Chromium code. He uploaded stuff like the cacti. And everyone could see this, so not too much of a secret Easter egg. It quickly became a small topic of discussion, but I don't think that back then anyone would have dreamt that people would later on build robots to automate the game and try to get to the ending. I wish I knew if there was an ending. That would be a good thing to ask Jung, right? I did that. I'll tell you what he said later on. Jung said, I also felt like it was something simple enough I could prototype and code up. I'd never coded a game before and didn't realize how much I had to learn. Things like collision detection and jump dynamics. Performance was a big thing and we wanted to ensure that it was available on all platforms that Chrome was on. And that was a big problem back then. The first iteration played terribly on older Android devices, so I ended up having to rewrite the whole thing. Yes, to make sure everyone could play it, they had to remake the entire game. So by the end of 2014, Dino Chrome Game 2 had actually already been released, though it looked and worked pretty much the same for the player. And initially people were not so crazy about it. But slowly and surely it was getting more and more fans. Because already back then the game just had a vibe. It was simple, fun and intriguing. Even if you stopped playing once the internet was back, you were left wondering, what if I had kept playing? Or what does this game mean? And that's also what I asked Jung. Why is it a dino? What's the story there? The Lonely T-Rex was a reference to an era without the internet and things were a lot more boring. So no internet throwing you back into the dinosaur age without technology where everything is boring. I like that. Kind of sad that he's called the Lonely T-Rex though. And the desert, the cacti, why does the Lonely T-Rex die from them? Is that also an analogy for how the things we want most, like water and cacti when you're thirsty in a desert, actually end up hurting us most? That was something Sebastian put in that context when he created the original Dino illustration for the offline page. Okay, apparently no deeper meaning. They just had the desert and cactus era graphics already and used them there. They continued working on the game, making small tweaks here and there. In 2015 they added Pterodactyl to the game, and in 2016 they added day and night. Every 700 points your colors get inverted. If you are insane and have your browser in light mode, the game will start in the day, and if you're a normal person with dark mode, it will start at night. In 2017 the game was far from its peak in popularity, but a bunch of people already knew about it because they had, at one point or another, lost their connection. And they were curious about it. So much so that when the video A Dinosaur Story was released, it got more than 1.5 million views in the first 2 months. It started to become something more people knew about, which interestingly became kind of a problem. because now more people were playing the game instead of working. It got to a point where we had to give enterprise admins a way to disable the game because school kids and even adults who were supposed to be working really got into it. If the game is disabled, instead of it, you will see a dino getting destroyed by meteors. Then, 1 year later, it got another update that laid the groundwork for the popularity it has now. To celebrate the 10-year Google Chrome anniversary, they added a hat and birthday cake. It gained more popularity and people started searching for it. Why? I think because it had something new. While making this video, even my mom once went, "Oh, that's a Chrome dino, right?" People generally know that it exists, but not many are die-hard fans. As the following updates will show, the Chrome dino game really becomes interesting when something different happens with it. If they add a new mode, new characters, something people haven't seen before, they'll be like, "Wait, what? I haven't seen this before. I wanna try it." The hype the game had in 2018 was then further increased by this video. It became the biggest Dinochrome video of its time, and it's a tutorial on how to get invincibility, high speed or a Sonic skin. And it sparked even more discussions. Just 14 days later, another big video about the Dinochrome game was released. YouTuber CodeBullet made an AI that could play the game by itself.
Each generation contains 500 players, each controlling a dinosaur. Classic genetic algorithm. So the players which do the best live on to reproduce, and the same thing for the next generations, and rinse and repeat until you have a bloody beast. So this is like 6 minutes in, and the game is already moving at ridiculous speeds.
And that brought up a new question. If you could make a perfect AI that could play the game forever, what would happen?
What?
After this video, the game became more than something people just knew it existed. It became its own little phenomenon. People started talking about it, making content on it.
We all know and love the Dino game.
The dinosaur game. Everyone knows it.
Some people tried to beat it, like in this stream where someone had a bot try to beat the game, or here where someone made an Arduino-based robot to try to automate the game. People added ray tracing to it, put it into Minecraft, made it better. Someone made it in Unreal Engine to make it look pretty. The next year someone made dino swords where you can collect weapons. And then someone made a version and used it for political satire. Reddit user Maximus published a satirical version of the Dinochrome game with the Indian Prime Minister as the lonely T-Rex. Instead of cacti, he jumps over the media and lawmakers. People loved Maximus for it, and the Reddit post got 10,000 upvotes. And at that point, Microsoft Edge was like, okay, maybe it's a cool idea to have something like this. So they made their own offline Easter egg called Surf, where you're a surfer. But it was a bit too late to compete with the Chrome Dino, because by July 2021, someone had already built a statue for it in Armenia. Then it was featured in the new Simpsons season's intro. The Chrome Dino game, with its minimalistic graphics and simple mechanics, has transformed from a little offline Easter egg into a symbol of the internet age itself. We have now learned about the development of the game, its history and where it stands now. That only leaves one open question, a question people have been asking for years. Some people think that, in truth, it's a love story about the lonely T-Rex running towards his girl. Some people think that in the end, he will get killed by a meteor. The ending, however, this is where it gets interesting. You can actually get to the ending. I did that. I ran a bit until I got a score of almost 1 million. What happens here is somehow surprising, but also just makes sense. When I asked Edward Jung about the ending, he said, "Honestly, we always felt that your internet connection would come back within a few seconds or minutes and didn't expect users to try to beat the game." When you cross 999,999, a score you were never intended to cross. A score where by all reason you should be back online, watching a video or something. The game resets to 0 and leaves you wondering again where the lonely T-Rex is going. I hope that he won't be lonely forever.